Hello viewer, welcome to episode 3 of my Sketchy story series. Today I'll go through my One Piece fan art of Luffy in Gear 4. And of course, spoiler warning for any One Piece content, just throwing it out there. Okay, with that out of the way, here we go. So, what is there to say? One Piece is a pretty cool and simple story of pirates competing to be the Pirate King while dealing with the world government and other obstacles along the way. Oda, the creator of One Piece, has and still is doing a great job world building and developing complex characters in this One Piece world. The power system in One Piece, consisting mostly of Haki and Devil Fruit, is pretty straightforward, but also gives room for creativity and nuance that still fits the established rules of the One Piece world. This brings me to Luffy's badass form, known as Gear 4, first seen when he used his form against Doflamingo. Luffy's Haki and Devil Fruit powers are pretty simple. First off, his Armament Haki involves channeling his spirit energy, which enhances his physical defense and power, and it also allows him to hurt people who gain powers from the Luffy Devil Fruit, who generally can't be hurt by physical attacks. Also, Luffy has rubber body powers from eating the Gum Gum Devil Fruit, a Paramecia type Devil Fruit, which you can look up what that means. Given this simple power, and suspension of disbelief that his rubber powers displayed are probably more fiction than scientific fact, Luffy was able to use his rubber body creatively when fighting. When using Gear 4, he inflates his upper body and torso by blowing air into his arms like a balloon and compressing mostly his punches like a rubber band or spring to boost the speed and power of his attacks. And Luffy was also shown springing up his legs to propel himself in the air, as if his legs were like jet thrusters, which is pretty cool. With all that, seeing Luffy utilize all his powers to the fullest against Doflamingo was pretty exhilarating, and seeing the Kong gun, or the King Kong gun punch technique unleashed against Doflamingo was very satisfying to watch. Just read up on Doflamingo's backstory to understand why. Of course, with really powerful forms such as Gear 4, it does take a massive toll on Luffy, and as such, it can only be used for a small amount of time. This was also shown when Luffy was fighting Doflamingo. Of course, knowing Luffy, he eventually did prevail, and you can go off and read or watch all about it to see how it unfolds. Speaking of Luffy as a person himself, he is essentially an outlaw, a pirate, and he kind of does whatever he wants, but Oda does characterize him well and still make you root for him. And to be fair, of course, the world government and the Marines in One Piece are unapologetically corrupt, so they're generally represented as no better than pirates themselves. So in short, there are some likable characters and douchebags from both the Marine and pirate factions, which you can check out in any One Piece media and decide for yourself who you like. So back to Luffy, he is portrayed generally as a good dude who's honest, pushing himself to be better, and will tirelessly work to achieve his dream. He is fiercely loyal, caring deeply for his friends and family. He is, Nakama, and will do anything to help or protect them. This even extends to innocent bystanders, and sometimes not so innocent bystanders, where he will prioritize their well-being over his own. The most endearing thing to me about Luffy, which kind of makes me think he is a good guy, is the fact that he encourages others to follow their own dreams, even if it may hinder his own dream of finding One Piece. I should note there is a distinction between people competing against each other for the same goal versus hindering other people's goals for your own goal. And in the case of Luffy, he does let other people do their own thing, and given other characters are trying to find the One Piece, he will actively compete against them, relishing the challenge of seeing who will win in the end. Because of this, it's fun seeing Luffy undergo new transformations, such as Gear 4, to help beat up the bad guys / douchebag, pirates or marines of the One Piece world. We still see Luffy struggling when fighting in these new forms, but he manages to pick himself back up and prevail in the end. Respect. Also, honorable mention to the debut of Luffy's Gear 2nd form. That was awesome. Definitely check that out too in the anime or manga. In summary, I liked drawing Luffy in Gear 4 because I root for Luffy, and Gear 4 is a culmination of Luffy using all of his powers and abilities to the fullest. It is a form used to protect others no matter the cost on Luffy's well-being. Well, I stretched my backstory long enough. Now onto the inking process. The unique flair to add for my Gear 4 drawing was adding Luffy holding the straw hat and having him smile. From what I've seen, Luffy using Gear 4 is rarely seen. Smiling, of course, granted in world, he only uses this form when facing a serious threat, so of course he can't just use it casually as it does take a massive toll on him. Regardless, thanks to artistic license, I like to draw him as smiling to give a sense of playfulness, which in world I would rationalize it as Luffy training to perfect his Gear 4 form. Okay. I had Luffy drawn as sort of twirling his straw hat to still maintain this sense of lightheartedness and to imply that he's still playing around, as again Luffy is portrayed usually as serious when using Gear 4, and most other fan art probably portray him like that as well. Throughout the series, Luffy generally does have a cheerful, playful personality, and it would be cool to convey that part of his character in the Gear 4 form. Again though, Luffy being in Gear 4 implies that he means business, so I drew his other hand in that signature sideways palm pose to show he's still ready to throw down despite his playful demeanor. And I added the steam background in to further emphasize this, where Luffy is definitely pumped to move at a moment's notice. I ultimately decided to only draw the steam in the background so as not to obscure Luffy in any way in the drawing. And simply put, I didn't have much experience drawing that sort of effect in that way to make it look cool or natural. When drawing in Luffy's armament haki, I tried to have it close to his neck in a jagged pattern to show that that the armament haki was definitely taking effect on his bare arms, and he was not wearing any other clothing or armor that could have made his arms differently shaped or colored. I ultimately decided to color his haki as much more red than what is normally a black color to make the drawing more eye-catching and vibrant, well, hopefully, while predominantly also keeping the tone of casual playfulness. One thing to note about drawing Luffy is that I didn't have to worry too much about correctly proportioning Luffy's torso and arms, given his Rubberman powers. I definitely used whatever creative freedom I had to draw his arm and torso in whatever size or shape was convenient, within reason of course, and it still fits the visual character portrayal of Luffy. The slogan, Luffy, gearing up to be a key player, was a nice 2-for pun deal. You know, because Luffy's gearing up in Gear 4 and he uses haki. And there's also him having the Will of D, which does make him a key player in the One Piece world. So yeah, I'm proud of myself for making up that slogan. And as with earlier drawings, the previous slogan was a question answer punchline. It originally had the question, how does Luffy get serious? With the answer being, he uses Haki ability when gearing up. Apart from being too wordy, which the punchline made sense, it just felt like the pun was there for the sake of a pun, though I'm not against it, but I thought it could be better. So the final slogan, gearing up to be a key Haki player, really resonated with me more and definitely made sense to the character of Luffy. Well, just like this joke, I've definitely stretched out the details long enough. Now it's time to hear what to improve on my fan art. Okay, my shaky line art strikes again in this one piece as well. And most noticeably, the outline of the straw hat has a lot of line work poking out where it shouldn't, which is definitely something I would really like to touch up if I were to do this again. And there's also some shakiness drawing the outlines and highlights on both of Luffy's arms and hands, which definitely could be neater. And Luffy's shirt here also has a little shakiness to it, and his torso has some poking line art as well. And speaking of chest proportions, compared to how Gear 4 is normally portrayed, it does look too small in proportion to the head and arms, where Gear 4 normally shows his chest more puffed out. Lastly though, on Luffy's face, I do feel it was drawn a bit too long, and I've noticed that the hairline is off a little bit. And of course, as with my earlier drawings, it would have been nice to add more detailing to the ear. All this aside, I'm happy with the detailing of Luffy's face, particularly with the scar and the eye bags drawn in. That's normally drawn in when Luffy uses Gear 4. The spikes of the hair I felt were pretty well done, despite the hairline being a bit off center. I'm also happy with how the highlights turned out on Luffy's arms, despite the shaky line art. And I really like the detailed grooves on Luffy's hand, and the springy effect I added on the arm that's holding the straw hat. Overall, rate it an okay piece of fan art, and I should learn to post-edit my work more often. Okay, that's all for this episode. Hope you enjoyed the story behind my fan art / the background noise I provided. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time.